The ideas of socialism have caught traction among people in my generation, Generation Z and Millennials. Why is this? Why have people in my generation lost appreciation for market values? Putting aside the efficacy of socialism as an economic system, I want to determine why people don't view markets in a favorable light anymore. Could I get your name?
Hi, I'm Shiloh Douglas.
Julia.
Marvin. Eric.
Eric?
Yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you, Eric. My name's Zeph. One common theme that I see among people my age is our lack of awareness of personal finance. All right, let's say that we had $50,000 in cash right now, all right? We give it to you, no strings attached. How do you think you'd spend that money?
I'd probably buy clothes, party. Yeah.
That makes sense. What type of clothes do you think you'd buy? What type of parties do you think you'd want to try to gain access to?
I'm probably getting some Adidas shoes and Yeezys and parties in the clubs downtown.
Now it is getting better with a lot of education on YouTube and such, but that doesn't change the fact that the vast majority of us don't really know how money works. Another thing to consider when it comes to my generation's opinions of economic systems is the fact that we're almost taught that it's moral to have opinions about these systems, despite their complexity. No one in my generation would ever tell you which they prefer between MIG welding or TIG welding. Why? Because they don't know enough about it. No one would recommend DRT rope climbing versus SRT rope climbing because they don't know anything related to that field. However, every 18-year-old told that it's important to have these flamboyant opinions about our economic system, despite the fact that they don't know how the system works. It might be safe to say that one of the reasons my generation looks less favorably on markets is because we don't really know a whole lot about them. So at the moment, we live in an environment where market failures are far easier to find, whether that be on news or just social media, than are the situations where the markets work beautifully. Many of us are really aware of massive market failures. In fact, anytime there is a market failure, it's not rare to see those things blasted all over TV. But what about these times when the market works well? No one talks about the plumbers of North Dakota getting up at 8 or 7 every single day, going to work, making a living, and contributing to their IRA to help boost the economy. No one talks about these. So it's not surprising that many of us are kind of jaded when thinking about markets in this way. Now I know what you're thinking. It's really easy to make all of these excuses as to why free markets aren't as popular now as they once were. But the bottom line is the little man can't get ahead. It doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to be cracking off $1 million. But how hard is it actually to raise $1 million?
Very difficult.
Extremely hard.
Be quite difficult.
It's like it shouldn't be that hard to find a job here, but it is.
Pretty challenging just because most of us probably don't work as much as we could because of school and social life things.
If I was actually able to give each of these students $50,000, all they would have needed to do is put this money in a relatively safe index fund that grows about 11% annually, and they would have over $1 million in 29 years. I know what you're thinking. They got a head start with that $50,000. There's no way a regular person could just get $1 million so passively. Well, you would also be wrong. Roughly the same amount of wealth can grow in a brokerage account if you just invest $160 a month for 39 years, 10 years longer than the first scenario. While this would take a while, $160 a month is relatively affordable for most people graduating with a bachelor's degree anyway. Furthermore, according to the data released by lendingtrees.com, the average American pays $458 every month on personal loan debt. If that money was invested using the same methodology mentioned above, they would have the $1 million in 30 years. One thing you'll notice is that all of these investment methods take a long time. Time is one of the most overlooked variables when it comes to those looking to become rich. Most of them are old. It isn't hard to become wealthy if you've been investing for years. The biggest factor of determining how wealthy someone is actually their age, not the wealth of their parents or their circumstances. Looking at the data above, the younger you are, the cheaper $1 million is, and the more you invest, the more you'll get out of our economic system. Now, I do want to reiterate that there is no doubt a lot of Americans experience difficult times in our economic system. There are many sectors of the economy that are essential for everyday Americans, And many of these sectors are inflating in terms of cost far faster than the average inflation for just the regular dollar. We can think of housing, we can think of healthcare, and we can think of education, all as great examples. So it's understandable that many people my age might look at our economic system, free markets, and think that it doesn't have a lot to offer us. However, if you just focus on these areas of the economy that aren't accessible to you right off the bat, it's easy to think that the system as a whole is just simply broken. But that's not the case at all. In fact, many people who adopt these beliefs simply don't see the cornucopia of opportunities that's available. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos like these, please consider supporting the channel on both YouTube and Patreon.